Okay, so my favorite thing to do is to text Tony and Peter my old Facebook statuses
They're adorable.
from when I was like in 8th grade.
Adorable.
That's like when I first got a Facebook, and that's when everyone used to post like what they were doing like during the day. I'm eating a piece of pizza.
Or pizza.
Or pizza. So when I sent that, Peter responded very unkindly.
You almost said rudely.
Yes, I did. It was rude.
Borderline rude, yeah.
And he said, wow, I don't think we would have been friends in high school.
Which I thought was funny.
So our question of the day is, would we have been friends in high school if we were all in the same graduating class? If
We had
all
to be the same age.
Yep.
We were all in high school. And I don't think time, like if it was in the 80s or whenever you guys, when did you graduate high school, Kayla?
2014.
2014, and you graduated
2010.
10. You guys are very same generation, but it doesn't matter the generation or when it was. But I would have for sure been friends with Peter because we were in the same graduating class. And we both played high school hockey, so we would have been teammates at said high school, no matter where it was.
You wouldn't have been like teammates that hated each other?
No. Peter would have been.
I don't think so.
Peter would have been the chemistry guy in my high school team.
The
I was,
chemistry
actually.
guy.
He was a chemistry guy.
That's what I was.
He
in
would have
high
been a
school.
good chemistry guy.
I was a top 6 player with no skill, but I played real hard.
With
Yeah.
no skill.
Okay, and then Kayla and I would not have been friends because you and I were not aligned with any organizations. So I played sports.
You weren't friends with anybody that wasn't in your sport?
No, I would say that.
Yikes.
But like
I think Tony just hates my guts.
Like in the 80s, there weren't a lot of female athletes. As many
I thought you
as,
said
as many
time
as there are
doesn't
today.
matter.
Okay.
Time is a flat circle.
Sorry. I just don't know how I would have. Anyway,
Basically,
I don't think we would have been
My
friends based
friends-
on the friend groups that I was
Yeah.
in and you were in. I don't think we would have been friends. I'm not judging
what do
one
you
way or
think
the
my
other.
friend group was in? What friend group was I in? Guess.
Like what lunch table you said?
Yeah,
I
Yes.
don't know. Just
Goth
I don't know.
nerds.
Goth nerds.
Goth
No,
nerds.
you would have been in the cross country skiing.
I was.
Yeah, you're the cross country. I was not.
And the
At
art-
I
the
actually-
art
I was never at
No,
the
I
girls'
wasn't
cross
the
country
art kids.
skiing table.
Weren't with
ever.
the art kids?
Not really. I
Or
was
the
in
art
the. I
ones.
was in the other people. This sounds so weird, but other people called my lunch table the endurance clique
Yes, exactly.
because every one of my friends was in like cross country running or track.
Now we might have been friends.
This is the
I had a lot of friends that
I
were
was
girls that
not
were
good
cross country runners.
Endurance sports, so I wasn't in there because I was good at it. I was in there just because I was friends.
All right, so I've given my answer. Who wants to go next?
I would have been friends with both of you.
Oh, I was just trying to spice it up a little bit.
Tony via hockey and then Kayla via theater.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been friends with Tony because I hate him.
You need a
Wow.
camera. You need a camera so bad.
Yeah,
I'm
so we
just
can see
kidding.
all the things she's drawing over there.
It's my name over and over again.
Oh my
Oh,
lord!
wow.
That's like
Narcissism at its
that's
finest.
just like a doodle to me. It's not like I'm thinking about myself.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
That's why I wouldn't have been friends with you.
What about
'cause I
Peter?
didn't have any friends.
Would you have been friends with Peter?
Yeah, probably
Oh.
because of theater.
Yeah.
You get a probably out of it.
Well,
Were you-
I don't.
I get a no.
It's not like I can answer it definitively.
Were you like a tech person or were you on
No,
stage?
I was a choral background
Oh,
person.
yeah. Then we would have been friends.
I was a spoon in Beauty and the Beast.
No
I
comment.
had a spoon costume with like a big headpiece that looked like a spoon.
Oh, cute.
What a coincidence! I was Harry the horse in Guys and Dolls.
You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Need to stay up out the streets if you
Harry the horse is not a horse.
Hey, sorry, I have never seen Guys and Dolls before.
Oh.
Why is he called Harry the Horse if he's not a horse?
Why? Because he was supposed to be really big in the original cast. He was like 6'5", 200 some pounds, and in high school, I was 5'9", 130 pounds.
Yeah.
So
You're a mini horse.
yeah, I was like a pony.
Well, we have a long road ahead of us here.
Yeah, we do.
And you have to get to the Beauty League, which I would like you to also add.
It's
to our
already
list.
in there.
Okay, good.
It's already
good,
in there.
Good. I want to hear your chatter about that. So,
Yeah.
so we kind of ended in
May.
May. We had a recap spring show in May. So this is our recap summer show of June and July as we head into the August, September Bantam Elite, Prep Elite, Pittsburgh, Null Showcase, you name it. We got a lot of hockey in August and September. We'll probably have an October 1st type show as well. Kind of a recap of all the hockey we see. So what have we seen?
I had this conversation with Laura last night. I was looking at the schedule for the USHL Fall Classic, and
That's
started
the September 21st weekend?
September 18th.
Yeah, okay.
And I started to get really excited, and Laura said, "Oh, what are you so excited for?" And I said, "Because hockey is going to count in about a month.
Yes.
But summer is a good time to recalibrate, which has been nice. So we've watched some hockey that maybe doesn't have the competitive level that it would during the fall and winter seasons, but it's been a good time to catch up with some players that we haven't seen a ton of, and it's a really good time for tournaments. And I'd like to move into NAFs if you're open to that. That's number 2 on my list.
Yeah, that would be early June. That would be lines up with what we were talking about.
Yep, early June, North American Female Elite Showcase, 6 age groups worth of teams. I'll run down the champions quickly. At the U18 level, it was Toronto Pro Hockey, which was made up primarily of players from
Shattuck St. Mary's.
Yep, maybe 1 or 2 Torontonians in there.
Yep.
At the 09 level, the Manitoba All-Stars, they have an outstanding team at that age group. Look forward to seeing where those players go. Yep, Danica Averill.
They beat a Team Minnesota team. I mean, I talked to the girls after the game. They lost in the finals, and they were leading early, and they just kind of ran out of gas because they did the high school elite league tryouts in concert with the NAF tournament. So they played like 5 games in our tournament and 3 tryout skates, and then they were just coming off their state camp down at St. Olaf. So I applauded them for how hard they worked and how well they played and how close they came to beating a Manitoba team that only played 5 games that weekend.
Yeah, and a Manitoba team that's been together for years. I mean, this group has been together for at least the last 3 or 4 seasons or summers. 2010 division team Saskatchewan. I know that you're a big fan of
I love those kids.
Team Sask.
I got a great story about them. I covered them in Calgary like a month prior, and we got down to the tournament, and I did some interviews with them and did their headshots, and I did their headshots in both Minneapolis and Calgary. So I felt like I knew these kids pretty well, not like family or anything, but I knew who they were. And I'm doing the walk up to the champions where they scream and holler, and they're like, "Wait, you're the guy from Calgary." I'm like, it took you that long to figure it out. I reffed them during the NAF tournament, so I got to know them quite well. I thought they were a really well coached team and a really fun team to watch with a lot of talent.
Yeah, it's nice to see a team from Saskatchewan, which, along with Manitoba, is kind of the forgotten province, right? Yeah, everybody knows about BC.
Yeah.
The Canucks are a big deal. Everybody knows about
Ontario,
Alberta. They get Calgary and Edmonton, and everybody knows about Ontario because it has like 85% of Canada's population within a 6-mile radius. So along with the Maritimes and the Atlantic provinces, Saskatchewan and Manitoba are kind of forgotten.
And Saskatchewan had never won a NAF or Ryan Cup until this year.
I find that hard to believe because that team was about as balanced and about as deep as you're going to see
I
in
know.
the 2010 age group. 2011, 2012, and 2013, I said all of those in a row because they were all won by Team Minnesota, which is exactly what you want to happen when you host a tournament. You want the host team to win half of the age groups. 2011.
No surprise on the 13s or the 12s, right?
No. And 2011 was a lot of fun. That was a 1-0 overtime game where Team Minnesota Purple beat Machine, I believe.
Yeah, and they hadn't ever beaten them.
No, they hadn't.
They had never beaten them. So, it's hard to beat a good team after third game or whatever. It's probably been 5, 6, 7 games that Nelly's team had beaten. 2011's Steve Nelson's team. Nelly's team had beaten that team. And give them credit. They slowly but surely got a little bit better each year through the years, and they finally got them in NAIF at kind of the end of their rope because they'll have some HP conflicts and high school elite league tryouts and stuff like that in the future. So what they look like in 2 years might look a little bit different. I'm working on hopefully getting them all to come back next year and ending the tournament on a Saturday so the 2011s can go to St. Olaf and enjoy their state camp. So we might not have seen the last of the Machine and Team Minnesota.
Well, I hope not. There was a lot of talent on the ice in that game.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
Yeah. Some leading scorers here at the U18 level. Rio Pierre from the Manitoba All-Stars East finished with 9 points. The 09 division, Rowan Street led all scorers with 11 goals and 18 points. In the 2010 division, Jaden Krushel-Niski of the Western Selects, 10 goals and 15 points. 2011's Norp Attack led, I believe, all skaters NAIF wide with 7 goals and 19 points.
Wow.
Zoe Nur ended up with 17
That's
points
a shocker.
in the 2012 division.
We didn't talk about the 12s. They have not, that group
Team
led
Minnesota
by
Black.
Vince Stevens
Yeah.
has not, every tournament they've ever entered, they've won the tournament.
Yes.
I'm not saying they're undefeated, but they had never have lost a tournament championship.
They have not. And then in the 2013s, it's Shelby Steinberger, who played for the Western Selects, but I believe she's from Detroit.
She is. Good memory.
10 points.
10
Shelby
points.
Steinberger.
She had a really good tournament. That was a good final. That was an all-Minnesota final. I coached the 2013 Team Minnesota. It was weird to broadcast a team that you've coached for 2 summers.
Sounds a little bit like a conflict of interest.
Oh, no. They're like my kids. Like whenever I broadcasted my son, Jake.
Not doing a whole lot to shed that conflict of interest thing there.
I know, but I didn't care. But my point is, with my kids, when I was broadcasting Jake in his youth days, no one was harder on Jake's team or Jake himself when he was broadcasting, and no one was going to be harder on Team Minnesota 2013 than me. And I gave them their due. When they had good goals, they were going to get their credit. But if the Machine did something well, I was ready to give them their credit. And I like their coach. Cortland Dean's a great guy. And I like the rivalry we have between the two organizations. It's healthy, and teams want to get better, and whoever team wins, shake their hand at the end and move on.
More players on the ice. That is the ultimate goal.
Yes.
Team Minnesota obviously had a wonderful NAIF showcase, and they also had a very good July, traveling to Las Vegas, Edmonton, and Park City, Utah. The Vegas gals ended up falling in the semifinals.
In a 2-on-2.
Unfortunately.
That's my team. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I've watched that
2-on-2
2-on-2 overtime before. That's tough. That's tough.
Just go to
it's
a
tough
shootout.
way to.
I would
it's
just
a tough
rather
way
go to a
lose.
shootout.
It's a tough way to lose.
Yep.
In Edmonton, the team fell in the quarterfinals, which was better than last year.
Yeah, I don't even think they got to the quarter.
Don't
Tens didn't
think
even
they
get there. That's another story for another podcast. But it looks like they had a poor performance, right? Because they lost, in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
By Team Minnesota standards, but they finished third. And lost to the 6th seed in the quarterfinals, a team Saskatchewan that they did beat, a couple times, and then they got them the third time. Hats off to Saskatchewan 11s beating our team that won NAIF, and they couldn't get past the quarterfinals. But again, a great run for those guys. Up in Edmonton, they went 4-1 in pool play and then lost in the playoff. So it wasn't a complete failure that it appears.
It
to
wasn't
standards.
It wasn't a complete failure. I mean,
Well, we have a higher standard. We want to do well. We want to win championships and make it to championship games. That's the standard we strive for when we set the teams up.
And Park City, you were out in Park City.
Speaking of the Machine and a healthy rivalry, both Minnesota and the Machine make it to the championship game in Park City, and hand it to the Machine. They had two players that could find the back of the net, Sloan Swanson and Ari Swardini. Wow, those two can light it up. Really good hockey players. Our Minnesota kids, with 2 practices beforehand, did quite well. I thought they played their hearts out. They played some great games along the way in Park City, learned to love the game of hockey a little bit more, and got better as a result of it. I'm looking forward to playing the Machine a couple more times next year, at least maybe 4 or 5 times, because I think we're going to see them in a tournament or two in the coming year. So
Swardini and Swanson combined for 32 goals.
Like I said,
39 points.
Those two are very good at finding nylon in the championship game. Our team was very good at finding the chest protector of the opposing team's goaltender from the Machine.
Alrighty, we'll move right along. The Now Prospects Combine is next. Actually, no, the NHL Draft happened before the Prospects Combine. The NHL Draft. Yeah, because
we were in July this year.
Yep. 8 Minnesotans. 11 Minnesotans.
Yeah, that's a weird number. I got questioned on that. Do you have them in front of you?
I do.
Because somebody questioned the number, and somebody gets
the
credit
total
for
number.
Not. Yeah, just keep going. There's one kid that might not count or count. I'm not kidding.
There is a player that I can already see that somebody might quibble with, but I do
I
have a rationale. I have
a
rationale behind including him in this list.
Keep going. Give me the 11.
I'm just going to give you the 11 in order. Round 2, pick 42, Buffalo, Adam Kleber.
He was the highest picked?
He was
picked ahead of Zimmer?
He was.
Okay, all right.
Detroit took Max Plant in the second round. St. Louis selected Colin Ralph in the second round.
Yep.
And Will Skahan went in the second round to the Utah Hockey Club. In the third round, Brody Zimmer went to Buffalo. Will Zellers went to Colorado. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand.
No, I'm coming.
4 picks in the fourth round. Columbus took Tanner Hendricks. Ottawa took Javon Moore. Colorado selected Jake Fisher. And Tampa Bay picked Hagen Burrows. And then in round 6, Anaheim selected Austin Bernovic.
That's 12, isn't it? Or was 11? Maybe I was counting.
11.
And then who was the one we were quibbling about? I think there was one more that got drafted that we did.
There was one that John Whipple.
Yes.
But I don't consider him a Minnesota native.
I agree with you on that.
Okay.
I agree with you on that.
And I could see
he's listed probably as Minnetonka right now.
I believe he's listed as like Excelsior or something, but he played. I went through trust me, I went through this. He played one season.
His single
in Minnesota
Bantam
youth hockey.
Double-A minor Bantam year.
1 year.
And then he played major Bantam at Shattuck.
Yes. It was 1 year of Minnesota youth hockey. Well, Tanner Hendricks is from California. Tanner Hendricks played 4 years of Minnesota youth hockey.
At least.
Within the Woodbury program before going to Shattuck and then the Anaheim Junior
And
Deck.
so did Skahan.
Yeah, Skahan and Hendricks were here for 4 years. They were here.
They had the experience. They played in the state.
Will Skahan also played for St. Thomas Academy.
They played for, but Hendricks, those guys played for in a state Pee Wee AA final in Stillwater. Like, they experienced what Minnesota hockey, and I have pictures of those kids in their Great Plains jerseys out on the pond playing here. That's Minnesota.
Well, it's more Minnesotan than
Johnny Whipple.
Whipple. It's nothing against John.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
but his mother is from here. Did you know that?
Whipple's mom?
She grew up in my neighborhood.
That's great.
I'm just saying, but there's a little bit of roots here.
Well, yeah. But we went through this a couple of years ago when every time I put together a list of Minnesota products, it would include Isaac Howard. There'd be a couple of Wisconsinites. I forgot when he played for the Wisconsin Fire and the Wisconsin Blades in Hudson High School. I forgot.
He never did.
Years.
Yeah.
Alrighty. 11 players picked from the state of Minnesota in the NHL
Your thoughts?
Draft. Little light. Maybe not in terms of total number, but nobody in the first round and only 2 players that played high school hockey the year previously. Adam Kleber said something interesting in Embedded, which is a behind-the-scenes house-made production from the Buffalo Sabres.
Yep.
I watched it last night, and Adam was asked about leaving high school hockey to play in the USHL. And Adam said that he did not want to be strictly known as a glorified high school player. Now, before
What does that
everybody
even
gets their
mean?
dander up,
I know, but what does that mean? I don't even know what it means.
a glorified high school player.
Yeah.
I think the people around him might have said, if you're serious about playing
Yes.
NHL hockey, then this is a better development path for you. It's not pooping or shitting on Minnesota high school hockey.
Wow.
On pooping just sounded worse. It's not crapping on. Wow. There's three.
Disparaging.
It's not disparaging
There's
Minnesota
another.
high school
I
hockey.
like that you used threes.
pooping, crapping, and shitting. It's
Wow.
not disparaging high school hockey. I had this conversation with another parent too, who said that their child's ultimate goal is to play in the NHL, which is why they were looking at different options outside of high school hockey. I think he had a development path that would have provided him more of a challenge, and I think he took that path, and it worked out. He's a second-round NHL draft pick.
Yeah. I just think all of this, and I love Klebs, one of my favorite kids I've ever coached. He's just a competitor, great athlete, but it's all words, they're all just words at this point because you got to back it up. You got to get there. You could be a first-round draft pick and flop and not even get out of college hockey. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that. So it's just words right now. And I believe in Adam. I think that he's going to have a great year at UMD this year. I think he's going to come right out of the gates. He might even end up in a World Junior uniform. That's how highly I think of him. But whatever Adam said, if people from Minnesota shouldn't take exception to anything like that. I wouldn't.
No.
I didn't.
But the numbers don't look great statistically in comparing pure high school players
I
to the
don't
NHL
think it was a
draft.
great year for Americans in the NHL draft, not just Minnesotans.
You don't think it was a great year for Americans then?
No,
Why
I don't
not?
think so. I don't know. I don't think that the NTDP team was very, very strong. They didn't have superstar qualities. And wait till next year. It's going to even be even worse at the 07 level. There are people jumping off that ship already.
There are 3 Minnesotans that have been highlighted as possible first-round draft picks.
Right.
Colin Potter, Conrad Fondrick, and Logan Hensler.
Possible. I've heard this so many times before. I'm a bit of a cynic on August pre-draft discussions.
With the amount of people who beak about the Holinka and the World Junior Super Summer Showcase where they're wearing practice jerseys, you'd think that you might take it a little more seriously.
No, I don't. I don't take it seriously. And no slight to Ben Brinkman, but he was a projected first-round draft pick in August of 2019.
I don't remember that.
No, 17.
I don't remember that at all.
17. Yes.
Send me that article.
No, they had the list. It's there. It's all right there. So I don't buy any of this stuff. None of it.
All righty. So far, Max Plant is apparently impressing in Red Wings camp.
Great. More chatter. Just chatter. All right.
Just throwing it out there.
What else you got?
There.
What's the next on the list?
Now Prospects Combine. Talk about chatter. Now Prospects Combine. We had some award winners at our
Let's hear
combine. For the boys, best
I wasn't
forward,
there. I wasn't there
best
that day. How did you pick
forward.
them? Because I didn't pick them.
What do you mean how?
How did you pick? You were in charge. You were the adult on the scene. Let's hear how you picked them.
We polled the audience.
You pulled them out of a hat? You just pulled her out of a hat?
No, we checked with the Gopher coaches that have been around them all week. We checked with the Gopher players that probably spent more times with the kids than anybody else. And then we went over the list and we looked at some of the numbers.
Yep.
Because you can't really ignore somebody who leads the whole thing in scoring. So Owen Kraft was our best boys forward.
No shock there.
Our best boys defenseman was Jackson Perrin. Our best goaltender was Colden Espenson. And
Really? Is that the Wyndham kid?
Yep.
Good.
And our
Good,
best
good.
camper was Thomas Lesnar.
Here's a little known fact. I believe Thomas Lesnar was not age eligible for the camp, so he could be back next year for a second kick at the can. So,
Well, he had a good camp no matter
and
what.
what a nice kid. Everybody on his team loved him. Absolutely loved him. So hats off to Thomas for that, and hopefully he'll come back next year to the camp because I'm pretty sure he had a good time.
Among girls, best forward was Dana Madsen. Our best defender was Avery Moe. The best goaltender, Olivia Busking. And our best camper was Ella Olson.
And there was a big run on Chaska Chan girls.
Yeah, 3 of them.
3 of them. That's
There's
fantastic.
3 of them. That was
That's
not done
fantastic.
intentionally.
Oh, yeah. You love the Chaska Chan girls.
I had
program.
no idea who
where they were from.
Before. Nope.
No, I know. I was like, wow. When I open up my phone or when my whatever the service, I was on a flight to Utah with the 14 girls, and
you snuck
I
out
opened
just
it
in
up.
time.
Oh my gosh! Remember we were outside in the rain talking to Kelly Panic?
Yeah, that was
Did I?
that was fun. That was fun.
20 seconds later, I got absolutely drenched, and then there was 6 inches of rain that trip from Mariucci to the airport. It was brutal.
I got caught in a hailstorm going from
You were
Mariucci
going to
Braemar.
Braemar for the Beauty League.
For the Beauty League. General thoughts on the Now Combine. What was your favorite part?
This is my overall thought.
me in.
I'm going to sound off a couple things. First and foremost, this would have been 11 years or 10 years, right?
Yep.
You did the first one.
I did.
I was absolutely blown away with how well behaved both boys and girls were. I never had an issue the entire camp.
Yeah.
Did you?
Nothing that actually stands out. I mean, you get your squirrely ones every now and again, but there wasn't anything where I thought, all right, this kid might need to go home for the day to chill out.
I don't even think I sat anybody down or any I had years, and I know the exact year it was and the exact class it was, where they were the most poorly behaved crew, and I won't name the class. We were putting time out after time out after time out after time out.
Spent more time trying to wrangle.
It was horrible. This year was, and I remember Sammy Walker, not to give away the year, but Sammy Walker's like, what is with this group of kids? They're awful. I'm like, hey, sorry about that. Speaking of Sammy, he was there to give a talk. Did you interview him?
I did.
How did that go?
It was good.
I had Kelly and you had Sammy, right? We do a former Gopher. Tell me what he had to share. What was the big takeaway with him?
He had a lot. I felt a little bit bad because we got him at the end of the day, and those kids were so wiped out that sitting still for 50 minutes just wasn't
great.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. They weren't being disruptive. Some of them were just kind of, I'm up. But Sammy shared a lot of stuff about going back and forth between the AHL and the NHL. I didn't realize he was a Maid kid or a Wisconsin Fire or whatever.
Probably. He spent a year there. His minor Pee Wee year, I think it was, or his major Pee Wee year.
Yeah, he said his first year in the Edina Association was second year.
His major Pee Wee year, yeah,
yep. We talked a lot about how pro hockey players, everybody looks at stats, right? And it's so impressive. He scored 200 goals or 300 goals or 400 goals. You know what's most impressive among actual NHL players? Who can play the most games?
Games played. GP is
what's more impressive, 500 goals or 1,000 games? 1,000 games.
Easily.
100%.
Easily.
Yeah. We talked a lot about preparation, what sets apart the cream of the crop as you get older, and how small the funnel gets.
Yeah, it does.
As you get older. But he was great. Sammy was great. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
My takeaway from Kelly Panic was how eloquent she was. Just a really well-spoken young woman that she is. Just any topic. I literally like, let's talk soccer. You know, she can just kick it out. She had any topic. Kelly is the easiest person to interview ever. I'd bring her back every year because her content is always authentic and eloquent, and that would be the way I would describe Kelly. The other thing that I want to share about the camp that is, and I think I shared this with the campers, most years we have the week before the Gopher, before the 4th of July, and then we have access to facilities like Huntington Bank Stadium, the track and field facility. We have we just have way better access to. We were the week after the 4th of July, which there is a big camp. There was a marching band camp. There was a football camp. Every piece of facilities that we're used to having free reign on, we did not have to. So our staff, Jenny, Hovde, and Jocelyn and myself, we went way out of our way to get facilities over at the ROTC building. We were able to get some great speakers. We were able to get a magician to come. Did you see the magician at all?
I didn't get to see the magician.
Oh, the magician was unbelievable. David Farr.
I saw the magician.
He was
David
really
Magic.
good. David Farr, I think his name was.
But his company is David Magic, wasn't it?
Is it?
No,
Oh.
his name on the schedule was David Magic.
Oh,
Oh,
David
it's on the
Magic.
schedule.
So I had kids ask
I
me who
thought
the
his name
magician
was
was. I was
David
like, I don't know.
Magic.
It's
David Magic.
Dave Magic.
He was really good. And I thought here's how you know it's good. Both teenagers, the 13-year-old male and female teenagers, were blown away. And the college hockey counselors from the University of Minnesota were also blown away.
I was in one session where they were the ones that he did
Yeah.
the magic on,
Yeah.
and it was really funny because they were both like, "What?"
Yes. Yes. I mean, and that's a hard group because I have college kids. That's a hard group to impress, and they were impressed by it. So he is a definite invite back for next year. And it looks like we'll be at the end of June again next year, back to the full facilities. And we'll have a drone, hovering over Huntington Bank Stadium again. So
Oh, no.
I'm looking forward to a great camp again next year. And so are the Gophers.
Let's book Huntington Bank Stadium next year.
Right now. We can't. It wasn't available.
No, I mean the year before I got there for Ultimate Football.
Yeah.
And all of the Gopher special teamers were there.
Were they
Yes.
kicking the ball and stuff?
Yes.
That's cool.
It's cool for a little bit.
Why were they in the way?
They were using the entire field. So I had a very awkward conversation
Oh, are you
with like
serious?
the punter. I said,
You're gonna have to.
how much
move.
longer are you guys gonna be?
We paid for that space. We paid for that space. I didn't know that until
No.
just now.
They were very cordial. They eventually moved out of the way.
All right. What else you got?
I got, where are we at?
You mentioned the beauty
Number
league.
5.
Okay.
I'm on page number 5, which is in a white.
Oh boy. There we go. Fancy.
I had to dip into a different notebook for this
Fancy.
one. This is the rundown of the USA Hockey Player Development Camps. Boys 15, 16, 17. Girls 15, 16, 17, and 18. Where do you want to start? Boys or girls?
I don't really care. I mean, I followed along with a lot of these camps. Truth be told, I did not follow much of the girls because I'm so used to having it in St. Cloud. I'm still kind of in shock that it's not in St. Cloud.
Yeah, a little bummed out by that.
And I'm used to following it I don't know, maybe I'm just old, but my brain is capable of following one that's out of town and one that's in town. But when they both get out of town, I just get lost. And the girls is after the boys. So it's just, I kind of get worn out, and we have programming that leads into it. So it was tricky for me to follow the women's. I obviously was following the results, the goal scorers, and who did well. But I would love to have watched like I have in years past. And so then I could tell you, like, oh my gosh, Jane Doe was left off, and it was not fair. But I can't really judge because I wasn't there to watch it.
No, and I'm not going to sign up for usahockey.tv. I don't want to watch it that badly. When it was in St. Cloud, it was easy. You zip up there for a day.
You'd go for a
watch
day? I'd go for a day.
Snag some picks.
I felt like we covered that really well when it was here.
Yeah, I ain't signing up for usahockey.tv.
And what are you going to see anyway?
A grainy
Right.
picture of practice jerseys floating around.
Right. The practice jersey part, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Goes back to games that count. Like, it counts for the individuals, but it doesn't really count as a game.
Well, good thing we're going to go through just the individuals. Girls 15, the highest scoring Minnesotans, J.C. Chatlin, no surprise there.
No.
Delaney Miller had 6 points.
Yes.
Chatlin had 7. Maddie Boone, 5 points. And Sydney
Nice.
Boss Crone with 4 points.
Love it.
Goaltender Viv Anderson had some of the best numbers in camp. She stopped 65 of 72 shots on goal, 903 save percentage.
She was the goalie for Team Minnesota in that run that ended against Manitoba. Viv played all games for us that weekend.
Viv is an outstanding netminder. Girls 16-17 camp. I'm going to double check one name real quick, but I can tell you that Lily Pockel was tied for the Minnesotan scoring lead
Harvard commit.
with a goal and 3 assists. Where did she go? Yep, Hugo, Minnesota. Maddie Lee. I don't know if she goes by Maddie or Madeline. She had 4 points as well. She plays for White Bear Lake. Her birthplace is listed as Hugo. I wanted to make sure that she
Same
was
diff.
a Minnesotan.
Same diff.
Yeah. Goaltending leaders.
That's refreshing to hear.
Well, somebody from White Bear Lake.
A White Bear Lake High School student is doing well. That's fantastic on the girls' side. That's fantastic. We don't talk about White Bear Lake High School girls very often.
No, they get lost in that
Although
section.
their jersey's right behind Kayla over there from Hockey Day, which I think might even be Madeline Lee's jersey. I almost want to bet. She wear number 5? She wear number 5?
We're going to find out. I'm on their page right now.
Yes! Hand me
Is
that.
it Madeline Lee? Yes,
Hand
it
me
is.
that. Hand me that. Hand me that. This is great prop. Thank you. Congratulations, Madeline Lee. Here's your jersey. You donor to our jersey wall. Thank you very much.
She had 39 points last year.
I know. It's great to hear.
White Bear won 15 games last year.
Yes. Bring it on.
Interesting. How many seniors did they have?
Uh-oh. Don't ruin the party now.
4,
Just
5,
keep it 15.
6 seniors.
6 seniors. Okay. All right.
Right. They get lost in Section 4 a little bit, but maybe this year they'll punch their way through. Goaltending leaders for the girls 16-17 camp, Moose Lake's Mallory Hartle.
Love
she
it.
finished with a goals against of 2.6 and a .912 save percentage. And then Blake's Janie McGaughan with a
One of your
1.56
favorites.
goals against and a .925 save percentage. Yes, Janie McGaughan. I consider her one of the top goaltenders in the country.
I do.
At the girls 18 camp, Jasmine Hovda led all Minnesotans with 3 goals.
Is
and
anybody
4
surprised?
points. No, not at all. And then Ellie Stewart had 2 goals and 3 points. Mallory Hartle also played well at this camp with a 2.17 goals against, 915 save, and a Nora Hannon 1.89 goals against and a 938 save percentage to round out our girls national camp.
What is the biggest news out of the girls 15 through 18 in your eyes? If you don't say it, I will.
There are 2 transfers that we officially know of,
Oh, that's-
several that
okay.
we don't officially know.
Okay, what did you get?
2 players, Ellie Stewart and Taylor Field, will be moving on to Shattuck St. Mary's next
Ellie
year.
from Benilde and
Yep.
Taylor from Crookston / Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Yes.
I think the biggest piece of news that comes out of this is it's the smallest number in my memory of Minnesotans to make it to the U18
Is it 3?
is 4, I believe. Let's see if I can name them for you. Haley Box.
Yep.
Okay. It was like a goaltender, Hazlitt.
Yep.
Hazlitt, excuse me. Ashlyn Hazlitt was a goaltender.
Yep.
Defense, I feel like there was 2. We're not counting a Malkovich. That would be cheating.
No.
You got the
You're
list
talking the
right
2024 U.S. Under-18 Women's Select Team.
Yes.
There were 3 Minnesotans.
No, there's 4. There's 4. Let me see.
No.
Come on.
No. There
So
are
I got-
no
I got
defenders.
Box,
There are
Hazlitt.
no defenders. There's 1 forward.
Let me see.
Although pretty much all of these players played in Naves.
Let me see.
Small shout out. Who's the 1 forward?
There's 4.
There's not.
There's 4. Box.
This is riveting television.
Box. There's just Box.
No.
That's it.
Lorelei Nelson.
Oh, yeah, Lolo.
Yeah.
That's why I already got it.
Nelson,
Yep.
Box, and Hazlitt. Those are the 3.
Okay, sorry.
Those are the 3.
Sorry, although I know a billion of those girls because they played in NAIF.
Yeah, Amelkovich, Finale, Daly, Lovell,
Ely.
Adriana Milani.
Yeah, it's just
Stoughton.
keeps growing. It's gross. So how many kids played in our
So
stuff?
3.
Yeah.
3 made the U18 select team.
That is such an incredibly low number.
Yes, it is.
I've seen it where there's half the team.
I know. And didn't they finish 4th that year? 3rd or 4th?
No, not that team. I'm talking about
Okay.
Peyton's year. Peyton Hemp when they won it. They would look at that roster when the 03s were there. It was 03s and 04s. It was insane.
I don't know. Do you want to call USA Hockey and ask what's going on?
I'm not going to do that. No, I'm going to pass.
We'll
on
call
that.
the 1-800 number a little
No,
later.
No.
Boys player development camps. We'll start with the 15s. Leading scorer among Minnesotans, Gunnar Conboy.
He is his stock is going through the roof, like 5 floors up. How fast his stock is going?
He
up.
got a little lost last year playing for a not good
Average.
Lakeville North team.
Yep.
I mean, average might be pushing it. The other leading Minnesotan was Freddie Schneider. No surprise
Shocking.
there.
Shocked.
4 goals and 9 points. Right behind them, Rylan Rooney with 8 points, Caden Zasada with 7 points, and Evan Warner with
Love hearing
6
that.
points. Warner, the only player among those to play youth hockey last year.
Yeah, Evan will be playing in the Prep Elite League, which we'll talk about later. And Evan did not make the high school Elite League.
Okay.
Not a lot of sophomores made it. They cut it all down to 16.
Which I'm good with.
So am I.
Mean, that's fine. If if it's a chance for juniors and seniors to get 1 more or 2 more bites at the apple to be seen by somebody, mazel tov. Go for it. If you're a sophomore, you got 3 years to go.
And Freddie and Conboy should be in the Elite League. They're that good.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. They proved it last year playing big varsity minutes.
Yep.
Yes, Warner is somebody to keep an eye on.
For sure.
Among goaltenders, Hudson Ferry with a 2 GAA and a 925 save percentage in 2 games played. Boys 16s, Jimmy
Is this
Egan.
where we announce Hudson's going to Sioux Falls Power next year to play?
Sioux Falls has put together a nice little recruiting class this year.
Yes, they are.
Speaking of Sioux Falls Power, Jimmy Egan had 9
Another
points
one?
at the boys 16s. Zach Zimmerman had 7 points. Those are the 2 leading Minnesotans. And then Xavier Went, among goaltenders, played very, very well with a 310 goals against and a 916 save percentage. 310 goals against, that doesn't sound very good. At these all-star
That's
camps,
pretty good.
if you can keep your GAA under 4, you're doing pretty well.
He's a baller. That kid's a good goalie.
He is a robot,
Yeah.
and that's a compliment. Boys 17s, they split the teams into the regions, Atlantic, Minnesotan.
It's a cool format.
It is a cool format, but I wouldn't put
hats off to USA Hockey for doing it right.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put too much stock into, the Atlantic
No.
won the tournament.
They did. They won like an overtime or a
won
shootout
The tournament.
over Minnesota, didn't they?
Yeah, Minnesota
So-
finished second.
It's about right.
Yeah, whatever. We'll talk.
It's about right.
We'll talk off air. Leading scores from Minnesota, Mason Moe, Malachi McKinnon, Max Anderson, Mason Jensen, and Gavin Katz. Goaltending duo of Cal Conway and Carter Casey, putting together a couple of save percentages, 923 for Conway, 910 for Casey. Mason Moe, as I said, led all scores with 10 points.
So a lot of Minnesotans made the Halinka team, who I think did really well. We'll call them a front 9 team. They're a good front 9 team, but a bad back 9 team, we'll call them.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, they played well in the first half of the Halinka, and the back half they didn't do so well.
Gotcha.
They finished 4th, which again looks bad, but they, went 4-1 and then lost to Sweden.
I did not pay any attention to the Halinka this year. I'm sorry.
I just keep an eye on our scores. So I've had that one tweet about how Spihar and Moe were in the top 10 in scoring, and I couldn't say anything about Carter Casey because he only got to play 1 period in the entire tournament. So
It's a long plane ride. To
that's
play
for one
period.
One period. That doesn't seem right to me, but what do I know?
Yep. Before we get into the NCAA,
Did you see the coaching staff, by the way, for Halinka?
No,
Garrett Raboin, head coach.
he's all right.
Ben Gordon, assistant coach. Nick Oliver, assistant coach. That's pretty cool.
That's
If you
where
ask
all the
me.
that's where all the Team USA Minnesotan representatives are.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of
They're
cool.
not on the U18 women's select team. They got picked for the coaching staff for the
Right,
Halinka.
right. All of the selections, we hit our number, right?
Yep. Before we get into some rule changes at the NCAA level, run through some recruiting a little bit here. August 1st was the official day where juniors to be could verbally.
Okay, here's
commit.
a question. I'm glad you and I have we're very plural or very synced on both boys and girls hockey.
Yeah,
Girls can commit.
they can.
How come we haven't seen any? What's taking
I've
you
seen
so
one.
long?
I've seen one player, Josie
Who?
Skoogman.
I think she's already eligible.
I know,
No, but
but I haven't seen a.
She wasn't
flood
in that
of
class. I think she's
haven't
at
seen a
25.
flood of commits. Though.
I think Josie's at 25. And she was already committed. So she just flipped her commitment. She flipped her commitment.
Hold on.
So we haven't seen a 2026 commit yet. Why is that? Somebody out there, help me. Send me a line. Drop me a message, a DM.
Somebody
Why?
call Kayla.
Yes, we need to know why we haven't seen a girls/woman commit.
I've got Abby Bros committed in May.
She's a She's a Abby Bros committed in May. She's an 07. She's an 07.
Okay.
They were already.
Oh,
eligible.
so you're thinking,
why
I
haven't
see
the
what you're
08s
thinking.
committed yet? Is what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't have a daughter. I don't have an 08 daughter.
Okay.
If I had an 08 daughter, I would have been 17 when she was born.
And is it maybe they're not getting the offers they want? That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, I guess. It's a long way to go
Yeah, I know.
for these players.
But they usually, the commitments usually come popping just like the boys did right out of the gate.
Yeah,
First
but
couple
even
days.
the boys didn't have that many. I published something a week later,
5,
and there were
maybe.
8.
But 5 in the first 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then they trickled a couple later.
Yeah. Titan Bergeson verbling to Augustana.
Which
Cole.
is awesome, by the way, for Rabs to go out and get a top-end player like Bergeson from Minnesota. You know what I mean? Like, when you think of Augustana, aren't you thinking that they're going to go kind of a Mankato route where they're going to get older guys? And he went out and got a young guy.
I have a different theory.
Oh, let's hear
on
it.
that.
What's your
I
theory?
don't think Bergeson ends up at Augustana.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't think Raboin is at Augustana. By the time, if you factor in the fact that Titan has
A lot of
2
years.
seasons of high school left,
3 years of
possibly
juniors.
3 years of juniors,
Where
I
will-
think Garrett is at a bigger program in
Really?
the next 5 years.
That's not the feeling I got. Did you get that feeling that he was heading to the next place when we were down there, Kayla?
Not super. He seemed like he really loved Augustana.
He
but
loved it. Like, I've never seen a guy
He was
like,
like a super fan.
he was a big fan of the whole thing.
That's great. If he sticks around, that's great. But if the University of blank comes a
If
calling,
the University of Minnesota comes calling and he's to take replace
that's
Bob,
what I'm
he
saying.
would be here. I
That's
agree.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
If he's not the leading contender for that job, I would be shocked.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to get fired. I'm saying some other jobs are going to come down the pike.
I think
for
there would
Garrett.
be. But it had to be the right one. He seemed really happy that day. Like, this is the greatest job ever I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Being in a place.
Well,
as
and
good as this.
that's the exact attitude that you want out of your coach, especially when you're starting a program. I'm just saying I think bigger opportunities
Will
are gonna
come to him.
down for
Oh,
Garrett.
yeah.
That's all.
Yes. Yep.
And not just at the college level. Cole Bumgarner verbaled to the University of North Dakota. They will be keeping a close eye on him as he plays for the Fargo Force this year. Dylan Dean verbally committed to the University of Maine. I think it's funny that his Long Island Gulls 15 coach, Justin Acosta, played for New Hampshire and let not one but 2 of his players commit to the University of Maine. Jimmy Egan verbaled to Colorado College. Bodie Leyland to St. Thomas.
That's a shocker. I was floored when I saw that.
Oh, yeah, super floored. Nate, is it Pedersen or Peterson? I've heard it both ways.
Pedersen. Say it Peterson like 20 times, would you?
Peterson.
There you go. I
Nate
like
Pedersen committed to Miami of Ohio. Victor Plant to Minnesota Duluth. Parker Trottier to Notre Dame. And in recent news, Max Anderson has since committed to Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio going the Detroit Red Wings route with its recruiting. A bunch of two-way, gritty, small-ish forwards.
Competitive is the word.
Competitive.
One of the coaches sent me a note on. They have competitive players, and I go, "You got 2 competitors out of that class. As good as you'll find."
A lot of kneecap biters
Yes.
in their recruiting class.
Yes.
There are still a few names on the big board. Mikey Burchild, I think, is probably the biggest one.
AJ.
He can take his time.
Yeah, AJ too.
AJ Francisco.
Yeah.
They can take their time.
Yep, I think they will. But I think by the time, here's the deal. I hate to say this, but it's all about the sweatshirt, right? So eventually, when all the boys end up in Detroit in Plymouth, Michigan, they'll all have their logos on the line chart.
Mm-hmm.
It always works out that way. So by the time you are in Pittsburgh, that's their first games, right? Their first real games.
Well, that'll be for the U18 team.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Whenever the U17s play their first game, every kid on that roster will have a logo next to his name.
See,
Always.
I don't know.
Always.
If all of them will.
Okay. All but like one. Sorry, but I guarantee Mikey and AJ will have their logo next to their name.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see.
That's just my feeling.
We'll see what happens. We'll see. It's a long way off. These are just verbal commitments. Nothing counts until you get on campus and put on the
No.
sweater. Alrighty, NCAA rules. You've got a bit of a bone to pick on both of these fronts. The scholarship limit has gone up from 18 to 26. I see it as this will only benefit the larger programs. I'm curious for your thoughts.
I've done a lot of research on this because it just kind of came out. It just kind of popped onto the Twitter sphere about the expanded scholarships. And I'm like, so I started digging around and started asking a lot. I mean, if you can document, I got 8 phone calls in the last week on this topic with the schools. And they've been NCHC, CCHA, and Big Ten assistant coaches that I just happened to know and chatted with. Mm-hmm. And your suspicion is correct, but it also there's a lot of factors that go into it. So let's use North Dakota as a template, right? So North Dakota's most profitable sport, right? Let's use them, is hockey. It's more profitable than football at their school.
Okay.
They can now, on January 1st or June 1st of this year of 2024, or May 31st on 2024, before the rule came out, they could only hand out 18 scholarships. So if they had 26 skaters, they were chopping up halves and quarters to their players.
Right.
Make sense? Now, if they have an unlimited budget, they can now hand out 26 100% scholarships.
Yeah.
But the most players they can have in their building in a locker stall is 26.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
that's it. You can have 26 100s, or you can have, like some schools, we're talking, let's go back. Now, let's go the complete opposite. No offense to Franklin Pierce. But let's go the opposite end of the continuum. Franklin Pierce Women's is a Division I school. That's the only Division I program at their school, right? They're gumshoeing it. They're gumshoeing to get to 18, giving some scholarship money to up to 18 players. Guess what? Franklin Pierce now has to maybe offer up to 26 at their school. I'm talking about the highs and the lows. North Dakota being the bell cow of college hockey, and then you have Franklin Pierce Women's, where they're just struggling to keep.
But they don't have to have 26.
They don't have to have 26 100s. No.
Yeah.
So that gets to your point. But now, look at this was an example given to me today by a coach. He said, yeah, but look at, if you're Penn State or Ohio State, their hockey programs are not even in their top 5 athletic programs in their school. Do you think they're going to want an additional $500,000 in scholarship revenue taken out by their hockey program? Because if you look at it, it's a $50,000 a year school times 8 more scholarships. We're talking 400 to maybe in 5 years, it's going to be $500,000.
In Penn State's case, I don't think it'll matter. In Ohio State's case, I think it might matter.
Really? Okay. See, I don't know what I'm saying here. I know what I'm saying, but I don't know what to believe at school. But I reached out to a couple different schools, and exact words were, will you be giving out, this was to a Big Ten school, will you be giving out 26 100% scholarships? And the response was, I bet we will. As this exact response, I bet we will. And I'm like, why? What's the reason? He goes, we got to keep up with the Joneses.
Well, and if it's 500,000, okay, I say Penn State, not Ohio State, because I don't know who the benefactor of Ohio State's hockey program is. I know who it is at Penn State. It's the Pajula family, right?
Right.
Their name's on the frickin' ice rink. They have a net worth of $6.8 billion. Another $500,000 for scholarships. Who cares?
And they sell out their building.
It also gives more opportunities, not just for the big hockey programs like UND, because UND in hockey, they're the cream of the crop. When it comes to financials, compared to Ohio State,
it's ridiculous.
You're telling me that as a bubble Division I player, if my options are between the Ohio State University and, sorry to pick on Merrimack, but Merrimack, I'll take the full ride to Ohio State and live the Ohio State life for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling me, I had this conversation with Stella Retram during her recruitment. She picked Penn State, and I asked her a little bit about why she picked Penn State, and she was like, well, it's a great atmosphere. I mean, it's Penn State.
It's Penn State.
I get to go to Penn State tuition free?
Yep.
I don't care if I'm on the fourth line or if I don't dress at all. You're telling me I get to go to Penn State for free? Yes. Yes.
I agree. So I think this will definitely help the schools that have a lot of money, right? Because they'll be able to add that $500,000 to their budget without a problem.
The brand name schools.
But it's also going to help schools that have big endowments. We talked about Miami, Ohio. They'll be able to afford, because that school is flush with some cash, right?
Who's their biggest benefactor?
I don't know, but I just know that $500,000 won't be a big deal to a school that's got money. But where there's, like we talk about Franklin Pierce, which is mostly a Division III school, where they're not handing out scholarships, where it's just trickier is what I'm saying.
I think it's trickier, but I also think if you find one alum or one fan of the program who can chip in, then I think you've covered your bases.
I think it's going to hurt the team. Let's just turn the lens back to Minnesota. I think the two programs that are going to hurt the most is St. Cloud State and Bemidji State. I think those programs are the ones that have the least amount of financial viability. Whereas you have St. Thomas has just got money, right? Look, they just built a $75 million. They're building a $75 million rink.
St. Thomas.
Minnesota's got the Big Ten, right?
Yep.
UMD's got a sold-out 6,000 seat arena. That's their bell cow. North Dakota, I know they're not here, but these are schools that have it. Like, I think Bemidji State doesn't sell a lot of tickets, and St. Cloud State, their school's shrinking right now. Mm-hmm. They're losing majors, they're losing students. I'm not sure. Those are the two schools that will struggle the most. Mankato's program is thriving right now. Yep. So I just think those are the two schools to keep an eye on that this new rule will affect the most, is my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see the books on most of these schools, because there are some schools that in their haste to keep up with the Joneses in football are mortgaging their futures trying to build stadiums and build practice facilities and build like
the arms races.
I think it was Arizona that somehow in massive debt because they're trying to build all of this stuff. Colleges, okay, give me a soapbox. Colleges are businesses, and I don't think over the last 4 years they've done anything to dissuade anybody of that idea. They are businesses. I just read a book from the red to the black. It was something about the University of Wisconsin and how the University of Wisconsin was swimming in debt for years and years and
early
years.
1990s, yeah.
They're more often than not, the answer is always money. Even in college athletics, which I think some portion of the population is still so hooked on this pure amateurism, student athlete, bogus. Nah, man, colleges are businesses. They spend to keep up with other businesses. And if you have Ohio State won't get touched, Penn State won't get touched, Minnesota won't get touched. But if you have a program that is spending to keep up with somebody and they don't have any money left over for hockey scholarships, it'll hurt the hockey program if they're overspending on football.
I agree with that. What else you got there?
The CHL lawsuit, which you were hot and frothy about.
I think I've thought about this a lot because I keep a close eye on the WHL draft. Our kids get drafted into that league, and I'm very interested in how they fit into the ecosystem, is my latest word of the week, and how it works. And I thought to myself, these kids that are barely getting paid, they're getting basically a small stipend to play, and college hockey has for years kept the CHL players out of their leagues. Well, now that student athletes are making money or being paid NIL money, that washes this whole thing away, in my opinion. The whole thing is a wash. It's washed its thing away. The CHL players are not professional athletes. Just the same way the NCAA hockey players are not amateur athletes. The amateur stuff is out the door. I mean, it's just out the door, and nobody can deny it. No one could convince me otherwise that's the case. The only reason the NCAA coaches don't want it is because they don't want to have to go recruit. That it would increase their recruiting base, probably double the size of the recruiting base, and they can barely keep track of the players they're recruiting now. But add the CHL into this as players who could come into their program, it would upset the apple cart, the ecosystem. Exactly. This would change the ecosystem. Imagine if you added wolves into Yellowstone Park or subtract it. Like that's what it would be.
There are wolves in Yellowstone.
There weren't. And then when they went into the Yellowstone, it changed the ecosystem of the park. I think this would change. It would change, I don't know, for the better or for the worse, but there would be a lot of changes in the hockey landscape between 16 and 20-year-old players, both for college and for the CHL. And an example I like to use is London, right? London.
Look at my screen right now. I just looked up the distance from Minneapolis to London, Ontario.
The London Knights are maybe they're more successful than a lot of NHL franchises. Like they would
financially
way more successful than the Phoenix Coyotes were. Well, it's not even close. The London Knights are it. They make North Dakota, Minnesota, college hockey programs. They would make them.
Ever since they flew Patrick Kane from game to game
Correct.
as a junior player, not on the bus. You know.
That's my point. Like there are Londons of the world that would be very attractive for a lot of kids from all over the United States to go play in, right? And vice versa. There'd be a lot of kids from Western Canada, Saskatchewan, who have only known the Memorial Cup and the WHL as their lifestyle, that they could come and play. They could play in the WHL till they're 19 years old, and guess what they can do? I'm done. I'm going to go play college hockey now.
But how does that make it any different than a kid coming from the USHL or the NAL?
They can't now.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
But the landscape would change. The kid from the USH and the NAL could go up and play in the Dub, or go play in London if they're really good.
Good for them.
Yeah, like
it's a free market.
It would be a free market. Right now, it is not a free market.
If it becomes a free market, if you're the University of Minnesota, you find $100,000. You find somebody who lives in the area, who's from Ontario, and you make them the recruiting coordinator.
I couldn't agree
and
with
you
you more.
send them to the OHL, and you find who's unhappy.
I agree. It would change, but it would.
It cuts out. You know who it cuts out? The USHL.
I think it does too.
Michael Hage doesn't have to go to the Chicago Steel if he could be recruited out of the O to the University of Michigan.
I agree. I think it's going to, but it also could help the USHL. There's a lot of ifs. We don't know what happens when you throw wolves into Yellowstone. This would be like throwing the wolves into Yellowstone. We don't know until it actually would surface for 3 years or 5 years to go, okay, now we know what's going to happen in the hockey ecosystem.
The only opposition,
I think the people who are opposed to it are afraid of what could happen.
That Canadians will start taking spots away from Americans.
Could be.
Well, then let's just keep Canadians out of our colleges completely. Let's keep anyone not born in America out of our colleges. Oh, you don't like it because it's a hockey player. Oh, now I get it. You don't care if it's a Nobel Prize winner. You just care if they can score 25 goals in a hockey season.
My point is, it's a juicy discussion. This is what I was hoping to discuss. I didn't know if this lawsuit would ever happen. I thought it might take 5 years for this to happen, and it happened 3 months in. I was like, good. This is at least it's on the table for discussion. I don't know how it's going to end up. I don't really have an opinion. I just know the landscape. It would definitely change the ecosystem. You agree with that?
Yes, it would change the ecosystem. And I will put my hand up right now. I am a huge fan whenever the NCAA gets sued for anything.
Oh, my.
The NCAA is a cartel.
Crooks. They are crooks.
And all of this NIL stuff.
And if you want to keep my credential, you can have it. I don't need it.
You can have it. You're a cartel that has run virtually unopposed for almost a century.
Yeah.
And any form of propaganda towards amateurism or student athletes or for the love of the game, it's always been BS since you started selling out Madison Square Garden for Lou Alcindor and the UCLA Bruins. It's always been a sham. It's a money-making venture for the NCAA.
Yep, I agree with you. I agree. I like that Lou Alcindor. Good reference. You weren't even alive when that was happening.
Yeah. I don't
was like 4.
I get upset when I see people complaining about NIL and it's ruining college sports. Nah, dude, college sports ruined college sports when you started selling out professional arenas. All right?
Yeah,
You're telling me that the workers don't get a portion of the billions of dollars that the NCAA rakes in? Give me a break.
No, I agree with that. I would just say this, that umpteen years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when this lawsuit, when the NIL lawsuit was going down.
Ed O'Bannon?
They could have, no, it wasn't Ed O'Bannon. It was way before, after that. But I think when this lawsuit came out and then NILs became okay, that would have been 2021, maybe 2020 or 2021. And I think that at some point there was a meeting in the NCAA and the lawyer says, we're not going to lose this. And they did. Had prior to that, they just decided, hey, let's pay our athletes, the football players A level, we'll pay the basketball players B level, we'll pay the revenue generators like Iowa women's basketball, LSU baseball, LSU gymnastics, anything that's generating revenue, Minnesota hockey, North Dakota hockey, they get C, and then all the non-revenue sports like cross country, track, whatever, those would get a D level payment, and you would get a stipend. Had they agreed to that, do you think 5 years ago Sammy Walker would have turned down, $12,000 a year or $18,000 a year had they instituted that? No, every athlete would have been the happiest athlete ever had they just signed off an agreement. But nope, they got greedy.
I don't think they would have been the happiest athlete ever.
I think they would have.
I don't think so.
I think they would have.
I'd look more at individual players. Like Caitlin Clark has to say no to $1 million brand deal because she's already locked into a $12,000 a year.
It would have been hard.
Iowa women's basketball. That's anti-American.
Well, that's different now. The horse is definitely out of the barn by that time. So that was 4 years after.
The fact that these kids can build their own brands with their phones, that makes them more valuable than anything that McKinsey could come up with.
I always think about this, and I know we're totally off topic right now, but could you imagine how much money Tim Tebow would have made had he had the NIL? I don't think there would have been a richer college athlete.
Oh,
ever.
man. I think there would have been. Ever?
And then Tebow?
Ever?
Then no.
Deion Sanders.
Nope. No.
He would have made more money than
you
Tebow.
weren't even alive, Peter, when Deion was playing.
I was alive for Deion.
1 year old. You were a 1 year old.
He would have made more money than Tim Tebow.
No.
He was a multi-sport athlete who was cool. Tim Tebow was a dork.
It doesn't matter. There was nobody more loved in college football in my lifetime than Tim Tebow. There is nobody more.
It wasn't me.
No, there was
did not like
just
did
you
not
hate
like
Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
I don't
You
like
will never
Tebow.
see
I'm just saying there was nobody. There was nobody more loved in college football than I've ever seen than Tim Tebow.
You know who I would have paid?
I'm not saying I loved him. I
would have paid Maurice Claret. That would have been my guy. I would have paid Lawrence Maroney, Thomas Tepe, and Asad Abdul Khalik, and Marion Barber.
No.
Greg Esslinger. I'm just going to keep naming random Golden Gophers from the early 2000s.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty. Last bit that I have on here. Since I need to be at Braemar in 45 minutes for the Beauty League, the Beauty League and PWHL news, which apparently just came across your desk.
It did not come across my desk, but it came across our desk since we've last talked. Okay. I like to have an anthology of hockey. That's what we do here. So let's get the B League out, and then we'll finish with the PWHL, because I know you're going to have opinions, and I know Kayla's got an opinion too. So
the Beauty League has been the Beauty League. I think it's a lot of fun for kids. It's been a good run so far for Will and I on the headsets. It's a little tough to call. I give Will all the credit in the world for calling those games. It's a little tough to follow along because the lineups and such are different week to week, but it's been a lot of fun.
I think that'd be a fun challenge. Okay, all right, here's my canvas tonight. I gotta paint.
Who's that guy out there? Who is that?
As long as you get the guy's name right. Yeah.
Oh, the pronunciations?
No, as long as you get the rosters the day of, I think I can handle it.
Yeah, we had a guy that popped up as they went out for warm-ups. We had to add him to the roster. But it's been good. I think it's a great opportunity for kids, and I think it's a good opportunity for families who quite frankly, can't afford to go to a Wild Lightning game. Those tickets are insane. If you're a family of four, you can afford to go to Braemar for the night and see Ryan McDonough and Nick Purvis.
And here's the thing. I actually watched one game, I think. It feels like I watch a lot of games over at Braemar with Tom Chorsky, my old neighborhood buddy from Lake of the Isles. He's like, you know what's really good about this league is now with how the players enter an NHL or NFL arena with their cars underneath, they don't have to sign autographs. There's no access to players to sign autographs. The Beauty League is great at making the players available for autographs. Like no other thing. If he goes, if nothing else, this league is an awesome opportunity for players and even fans to get access to players before they enter the rink.
Yep.
The rest of it is gravy as far as I'm concerned. That was his words to me. And I thought, I never even thought of it that way.
No, that's a great way to put it. And I think that the Beauty League also draws out the hardcore hockey people
who need it. They need it. They can't live without it.
They don't work for U.S. Bank. They don't have a block of seats at the XL Center, but they get to go to Braemar and they get to see their heroes on the ice for a family-friendly price point, which is great. And the hardcore hockey fans, they're the ones who keep this whole thing rolling. It's not people like me who only go to pro games when they get free tickets from their uncle. It's the people who wear jerseys and paint their faces and yell to their favorite players.
I love it. When I was there that night shooting for Kayla, I was there when there was guys with North Dakota sweaters on and just Gopher sweaters on. I'm like, these guys are diehard hockey fans, which I love to see.
It's a little bit like going to the Robertson Cup. Like those people,
they're in.
Eat pucks.
They're in.
And the people at Dubuque League eat pucks. It's been a good experience so far, and I hope that the players are having a good time, even those that are losing games.
I always get a kick out of listening to you doing the color. I'm like, okay, how is Peter going to describe this 39th goal of the night?
I can't lie to you, it gets tough.
It does.
It gets kind of hard.
And I played golf last Friday with Ben Hankinson, who runs the league, and I said, you know who the hardest working guy at the Beauty League is? And he's like, who's that? And he was listing off guys. I'm like, nope. It's Jim Carroll. That is hard. That's just as hard as your job. He's got the guy comes over and gives you the goal and the assist. He's writing it down, and before he can announce it twice, they're scoring again. Yeah. So he is literally twinkle toes as far as I'm concerned. He's always he's working hard for his money on those nights. I think I shout out to Jim Carroll for his hard work.
Him and Adam Abrams, is that his name?
Has he done some games?
He's done
at
least 2.
Okay, that's great. Adam's the wild PA guy. They got pro level everything there. Especially now that we're there, wink, wink, doing our pro level broadcasting and stuff. I think this stuff looks great.
We'll see if Will throws his hat on the ice again tonight.
Did he do it?
He did.
I love it.
Ryan Sandelin had a hat trick last week, and
of course, Will threw the Hermantown Hawk, right?
Yep.
And the best part is Ryan Sandlin has no idea who Will Peterson is.
Not a clue. PWHL.
Let's talk about it.
What do you want to talk about? What you just showed me?
Let's talk about it.
You want to talk about what you just showed me?
Let's talk about it. I just think what happened with the league and Natalie and Ken Klee and all the stuff was just it was kind of it put a damper on how exciting their season was, of course, and how they finished it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything. Here's my opinion or here's insider information. I just thought, for all the good work that people from the entire organization, from Natalie all the way down to the ticket takers at the X, did a fantastic job to put out a great product. And I was kind of sad that it had to have kind of an unhappy ending leading into the draft. That's all.
Well, if you won't give it your opinion, I will. I think the coverage thus far has been fairly one-sided, especially from click-to-pay websites. I think they've got one mole within the organization.
And it's not even a good one.
They've used that mole for virtually every bit of information. I'm not saying that mole is wrong. Obviously, I don't have the connection there, but I think it's been fairly one-sided.
Yeah.
Which is, what have you. And I think that for the longest time, women's hockey has operated as punk rock. They've had to do everything themselves. They've had to drive to games. I talked to Brooke Whiteland-Sett a couple of years ago for a profile on her, and she was telling me about carpooling to Alberta and driving through snowstorms.
I remember hearing that.
Forever it's been punk rock, and I think the fans have felt that way too. This is our thing, and we showed up to games at 9:00 at night. We've supported the Whitecaps since their inception. We have been the people that have been there since the start. We've been on the ground level, and I hate to say this, we're not ground level anymore. If you want a professional league run by professionals with financial backing where players can get paid, the suits have to be included. It cannot be punk rock forever, because then it will not financially survive. Players will not get paid. Ice bills won't get paid, and we'll have just one more example of women's athletics not being able to find a place in the marketplace. So I love the Whitecaps hardcore fans. I love them. They've been there forever, but I think that the reaction from Minnesota fans has been very, well, you can't draft this player. You can't fire this person. You can't do that. You can't. They're Minnesota hockey legends. And in professional sports, on the men's side, legends get fired all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I just saw Kayla hit the mute button.
I just realized that my mic was on.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
I thought you were going to, because
No.
you're vested. You were a photographer you were employed as a freelancer for the Whitecaps, and you went to Arizona when they won, or they lose the Isabel
They
Cup?
lost.
They lost, okay. They lost to Toronto 6. And then you've shot for us. We tried to send you to Montreal. We sent you to Boston for the playoffs.
Sack or blue?
We are definitely have a highly vested female photographer into female professional women's hockey, and I'd like your opinion or thoughts on how it ended and how the draft and all that. Just kind of like what are your thoughts as how we're moving forward with the PWHL?
I don't know. I feel like the fans at the draft were upset.
About Natalie. Yeah.
There was some,
They were upset about everything at the draft.
well, the fans at the draft were upset about Natalie,
Okay.
and they were very adamant about that. But I guess I don't really know, because I don't really know what happened.
We had some off the record stuff with Kelly, and she was passionate about it, about Natalie and about Ken. And, I just thought we got a lot. I didn't think she would speak so freely about her opinion. I'm not going to say what she said, but I'm just saying how passionate she was about the growth of the team and the growth of women's hockey, and her opinions on it were like, wow, this is another angle of how my point is, I feel like there's not a black and a white in this topic of the team. I think there's several different opinions, and I thought her opinion was refreshing to hear from a player's perspective.
I think that the Minnesota fans have kind of an inflated sense of importance, and I think they got that way because they've been the ones supporting the team forever, which is admirable. But in a professional setting, people get fired, people get let go, people get drafted that you might not like. I mean, but what do you want to do? Do you want to say no to the financial backing that's essentially bankrolling the league? Do you want to say no? Do you want to go back?
No.
Do you want to go backwards
not
to the
going
Richfield
back.
Ice Arena? Is that what we want to do here?
No, we're not going back. We are not going back.
The suits have to have a place at the table.
I agree. Everybody needs a spot at the table.
Yeah. Some people pay for a bigger chair.
Everybody deserves a spot at the table, and I think the PWHL Minnesota team is off to a great start, with or without Natalie Darwitz. That's my take. I think we've put a wrap on June and July. I'm
we have
excited
too.
for August and September. How about you?
Bantam Elite, Prep Elite League.
We're ready to go.
You excited for the Prep Elite League?
I am excited to launch a new product. We have 2 new products this year. The Prep Elite League will be coming out August 24th. We hit the ice. It is teams made up of sophomores and non-bantam high school freshmen. So there are kids that will not play high school hockey as freshmen, and they have a league called the Prep Elite League made up of 6 different organizations, 8 teams. So there's True North, which will be called the North Stars. Don't call them True North. Blue Army. SDP has 2 teams, black and green. The Lakers have 2 teams, Royal Blue and Columbia Blue. Minnesota Hockey Club has a team, as does the United Hockey Federation. So 8 teams of mostly sophomores, a couple freshmen, some great hockey, weekend-only hockey, a couple weeknight games. And I got to tell you, the schedule that I made for this was the hardest schedule that I've ever had to make in my 13 years of schedule making. It was not easy to build a schedule for these teams, but it's complete. It will be posted. We'll have a website dedicated to the Prep Elite League. We're also launching the Bantam Elite League this weekend, and we have the Pee Wee Challenge coming up in early September. The draft will be next week, and then we also have a new Might 3-on-3 tournament down in Mankato at the Unreal Rink down there. Wait till you see this rink, Peter. It'll staggering. It's the nicest 3-on-3 rink you will ever see.
I don't know, man. I've been to the pond. So.
Pond is nice, but this has 2 levels. So there's an adult, not adult bar, but a regular bar where you can come out of the bar and sit and watch a game. And then on the lower level, it's a 100,000 square foot venue. On the lower level is an arcade for kids to play in, and it's like Disneyland for youth hockey or any hockey for that matter at this place. They have NHL glass. I mean, the whole entire place, they spared no expense building this. Chris Lacombe, Jackson Lacombe's dad, is I would call him the managing director of the facility.
Ooh,
and he's also an agent for CAA, so the biggest agency in the world for all athletes, men's and women's. It's fun to meet him and get the inside track on his clients and where they're going, where they're playing, what they're signing for, and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to Might Mania, and nice job, Kayla, on the logo. We'll be launching Might Mania out there in the world here in the next 10 days with a little video and a little track of everything that's going to happen down in Mankato over President's Day, Sunday, Monday. So that's it for YHH stuff. Did I leave anything out?
I don't think so. If we did, we'll get to it eventually.
Eventually, we will. I'm excited for it. For Kayla and Peter, I'm Tony Scott. Thanks for tuning in to today's pod. We'll see you guys around the rink.
You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Need to stay up